Howdy folks, and I hope the collecting gods are smiling on you wherever you are. And welcome back to the channel for another 1/10 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Neca's take on the ultimate bear blood feral predator. And now that is a hell of a mouthful, hell of a title for a figure. Try saying that after 3 pints. It's from the 2022 Dan Trachtenberg directed movie Prey, which I've got to admit I didn't have very high hopes for, but when it actually landed it turned out to be pretty good, and a decent addition to the Predator franchise. So, usual format for the review: box, accessories, figure, and finishing off with the usual showcase at the end. But before we dive in, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who supported Go Figure. Please drop a like on this review and help other people find the channel. And if you haven't already, mash that subscribe and bell notification icon so you don't miss any of the news, reviews, retro reviews, previews, showcases, and all that good stuff that's coming up. So, the box. Let's stop it spinning and take a closer look. Surprised me straight away. It's not the usual format that we see for a Neca box. Normally Neca, it's a cardboard box with that book opening front cover that's Velcro fastened with the clear sleeve underneath where you can see the figure itself. Gone for a slightly different take here. What they've done here is a slipcover design, which is more reminiscent of probably, you know, more expensive high-end 6-scale figures, but nice to see. And it's all done in this sort of clear plastic with these red bloodstains to sort of reflect the nature of the figure itself. Neca have already released a sort of solid colour version of this, but they've also now gone down the road of releasing figures of the feral predator in its camouflage state, and I think the packaging is designed to reflect that. So there's a lot of clear plastic in the figure and a lot of clear plastic in the packaging. Well, I say clear, it's got all this blood staining on it, but yeah, very, very simple, very bold, very effective. I do like it. It's a very, very heavy Neca figure, this one. As you can see, it's trying to tip back on the turntable here. I am assuming that's simply down to the weight. Obviously, the feral predator is very big. In 1/10 scale, it's going to be bigger than the average human being figure. So yeah, it's wanting to topple over on the turntable. But we'll have a quick look at the box, what you've got on the front here, if the light is catching this, because it can be difficult to see this in certain lights. You've got 20th Century Fox logo there, it says Prey across the front, and it says Ultimate Bear Blood Feral Predator, and that's pretty much it for the slip cover, apart from obviously these streaking blood effects down the front, the sides, and the back as well. You can see the image underneath of the of Pred himself, but that's actually on the back of the box underneath the slip cover. So when you remove that slip cover, you are greeted with the figure. We'll pop that to one side. The box itself has got on the bottom, it's got the usual warnings and credits on there. Don't piss this figure off, or it might remove your spine with your skull still attached. It says Ultimate Bear Blood Predator, Feral Predator on the sides there. That's slightly less blood streaking on this side, on the sides here, and on this inside cover, so you can get a view of the figure itself. Prey on the top there, and around the back there you've got a rather nice HD photo of the figure. And once again it says Prey Ultimate Blood Bear Blood Feral Predator on the bottom. So yeah, that's the box. So brand new figure, this literally just come through the door. Seals are still intact, so it's a voyage of discovery for all of us. So without further ado, let's bust those seals open, dive down onto the table, and find out what this guy's all about. Okay folks, so here he is. It's Neca's Ultimate Bear Blood Feral Predator out of the box onto the turntable, and we've got the accessories out as well. I thought we would have a change from the normal format here and combine the accessory section and the figure section together. First impressions on this guy, pretty good. In fact, very, very good, I have to admit. The paint applications look good, the proportions look right, the attention to detail is there. I've got to say from the get-go here, I am not the world's biggest fan of these sort of translucent plastic cloaked figures that Neca have done with the Predator line. There's something a little bit, well, to me it feels a little bit cheap. It looks a little bit toy-like. I mean, I know they are toys, but it for some reason it just doesn't sit right. It looks a bit cheap. But I think this may be the first time that I actually think it works It's an acquired taste for me, at least, having them done this way. But yeah, I think it looks very, very good indeed. That paint application in particular and that head sculpt. Also fair to note at this point as well, this is pretty much the same mould, I believe, that was used for the first version of this figure. The first version was uncloaked, full colour, obviously. I think they've used the same mould here, just a different type of plastic and different paint applications, and slightly less in the accessory department. I don't own the first figure, so I can't compare it to double check that, but I'm pretty certain, yeah, bar certain accessories, and I think which are just the shield, they are the same accessories. So we will have a quick look at the accessories. We'll start with the hands, as we always do. Now, there's a pair on the figure, as you can see, open palm. You also get another 2 pairs. Let's grab a couple at random. You've got some sort of fisted hands and gripping hands, and let's have a look. Let's get these into shot so we can have a close-up look. The paint applications look really nice on here, as does the sculpt. You've got fingernails on there, there's bone structuring, there's texturing in there, and the paint applications are a number of different shades of red here. There's an almost brown red going on, a deep brown red, and then that shades up through a slightly darker red into a lighter red that's on the fingernails there. The fingernails are nicely sculpted as well. So yeah, you've got fisted hands, you've got gripping hands, they're all pegged at the end, which can easily be interchanged, as with most Neca figures. He said easily, sometimes that's not quite as simple as it sounds, but yeah, paint applications are nice, and yeah, the attention to detail, lots of creasing in the palms there as well, which is screen accurate. So yeah, those are the hands. What else do you get? Well, let's take a look at the weapons. Now, he comes with 2 variants of the spear. We'll take a look at this one first. This one comes in 2 pieces. It's clear plastic with a red paint application on the end, and it simply pegs together there like that, and it's the fully extended version. Yeah, nice sculpting on there, a nice paint application on the end there, slightly off center there, but this sometimes happens with these bladed weapons that you see from Neca. Hairdryer on there maybe, or a little bit of pressure, and that'll get that back flush. Yeah, overall nicely done. Proportions are right, screen accuracy is there, and that blood paint application on the end there is really good. So yeah, that's the extended version if you're wanting him holding that. Also comes with the completely retracted version, which is this one here. Now, this one is completely blood soaked, same paint application as the hands and as you see on the body there, and I think this is pretty much the same as came with the uncloaked version, just with that red blood paint application. But yeah, it's nicely sculpted. There's some detailing there on the hilt, with those red paint applications, and just nicely done. So yeah, that's the retracted version. Now, the retracted version can actually be attached to the figure, and we'll bring the figure in actually just to show you how this is done, because what you also get with the accessories is these little S clips, hooks. Now, I believe these are intended, I'm not sure which way around these are supposed to go. I think it's this way, he said confidently. You hook this in the back there, and there is a sweet spot apparently, if I can find it, and bear with me while I'm mucking around with this, but yeah, there's a sweet spot in the back there where it'll hook in, and I don't think this is the best solution from Neca here. They could have used a magnet. I think a magnet would have been a lot easier, but once you've got that in place, then you can actually hook on the back there the retracted spear. So if you're wanting to have him sort of wearing that around the small of his back in your display, that's an option as well. A little bit fiddly, that, not the most secure thing in the world. I think a magnet would have been far better. That will fall off, I think, as soon as you pick the figure up, but it's an option there in the display. You get 2 of those S clips, and one's just flown off already. I don't know where that one's gone. I shall have to retrieve that after we've wrapped up here, but yeah, fortunately there is a spare as well, so we'll put that to one side. Let's get him back on the turntable while we look at the rest of the accessories. A little bit top heavy, this figure as well. That's something I did notice, but that's down to the design. Probably need to use a stand, but I am assuming he has, yeah, he's got the 2 holes in the bottom of his feet there, so if you've got a 1/10 scale figure stand, you can use that. But if you get the leg splayed right, he will freestand, but yeah, very top heavy. So that's while we're on the weapons, actually, we'll take a look at the blades, the retractable blades that come out of the gauntlet. Now, once again, these are pretty much identical to the uncloaked version, only with that red paint application. Nice detailing there. You've got that design on the side of the blades there, almost that bloodline towards the front of the blade, and those sections at the back there, which are screen accurate in their shape. And if you're wanting to put these on, this will be the first time I've tried this on camera, so if it goes belly up, bear with me. There are 2 slots, I believe, and I'll just bend this hand forward so we can try and do this on camera. There are 2 slots at either side of the hand there, and you simply slot them in there, he said confidently. And this is not the easiest thing in the world to do on camera or off camera, and that does not want to seem to go in. I think that might be a hairdryer job, but they are supposed to. Let's actually take this hand off, see if it'll come off, and see if we can't do it minus hand. There we go. Knock the camera. The notorious Neca joints coming into play there. Let's do it without the hand and see if they'll fit. No, that doesn't want to fit in there. Let's try the other side. No, and it doesn't want to fit in there either. There are definitely 2 slots if the camera's catching them there. But yeah, this is sometimes oh, there you go. That one's gone in with a bit of work. Yeah, there you go. It's going to take a little bit of futzing this, so yeah, we'll leave them off for the time being. I think probably a good idea is to take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience with that, but we'll put that hand back on and get him back on the turntable. Might be a hairdryer or a hot water job there. We'll plonk him back down. So yeah, that's the gauntlet blades. You also get this backpack. Now this is really nicely done. Once again, it's that clear plastic, but it's got those paint applications, and this is where we start to see the sort of the striation of these blood, and there's all different types of tone changes in the blood here, some to indicate almost dry blood at the center there, and then as it comes down towards the edges where there's less of it, it's lighter. But yeah, nice paint applications there, and once again, sculpted screen accurate, and there's a magnet on the back, so you simply take the figure and there is a magnet somewhere in there it is, and you can have him with the backpack on, which I think looks really good. That would be my preferred way of displaying him. So yeah, that's the magnetic backpack. And finally, the mandibles. Now, I had the opportunity to muck about this figure for 5 minutes before shooting this review, and herein lies one of my issues with this particular figure from Neca. But we'll get to that. We'll give him the once over, and we'll finish on the head sculpt so you can see what I'm talking about. And it's where these 2 pieces come into play over here. These 2 replaceable mandible sections. But yeah, we'll take a close-up look at him now. Straight away, I like the sculpt here. I think the proportions are correct. The screen accuracy is most certainly there. Let's check the joints. The feet are pegged in as they normally are with a Neca figure. Not much forward or backward movement, but you've got side to side there. The joints are a double bend, and you can actually see the functioning of the joints there through the translucent plastic. Might have been a good idea to actually make the rest of this of these parts, these internal parts, translucent plastic as well, because it sort of throws off the effect a little bit, especially when you get close to this figure, and you can see these hoops and loops and large lumps of white plastic on the inside and on the internal joints there as well, where that pin is. I would have liked to have seen all of that done in translucent plastic. It does sort of give the game away a little bit. And if you're into photography and you like photographing your 1/10 scale Neca figures, getting up close with that it's not going to look brilliant. As you can see under the loincloth there, all that hip area is white plastic as well. So yeah, it wouldn't have been too difficult to do that in the same translucent plastic, I don't think. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah, there is sculpted almost flesh tones. Well, I'll say flesh tones. There's sculpting in the legwork to indicate skin, which is nicely done. The loincloth area, now this is a much softer plastic, this loincloth, and there's a lot of flexibility in giving there, which is great when you're posing it, but Paint applications are great, and there's all those different tones are reflected that you see in the weaponry are reflected in the back, and the further up you go the figure, the more blood there is until you get to that head, which is just pretty much completely drenched. But we'll check the waist articulation. Yeah, there's a decent amount of swivel at the waist there, which is good to see. Let's check the arms. Yeah, it's what we've come to expect from Neca. It'll be, I think there's pretty much a full, there'll be a full 360 rotation there, but I am not going to do that simply because I don't want to risk damaging these rather nice dreadlocks. Let's check the elbow joint. Elbow joint, yeah, that's going to come all the way up pretty much. As you can see, it's double jointed there at the elbow, so you've got a really, really nice amount of play in there. So posing this figure is going to be easy, and those joints are nice and stiff. They're not too stiff, they're not too loose. There's plenty of give in there. The gauntlets themselves, really nicely sculpted, screen accurate, drenched in blood again, and the same around this side as well. Pretty much identical to the other side. Obviously, these gauntlets are slightly asymmetrical. They're not identical on either side. This one has a slightly larger extension of almost of armor there, which you don't see on this side, but that's screen accurate as well. So moving up that chest area, translucent plastic again, great paint applications, and I think that's what really sets this figure apart. And I think that's why I'm actually starting to like translucent cloaked figures. I think it's because he's 90% drenched in blood, and it's been done really well here. I love the tone, I love the shade, and I really do think it captures the aesthetic from the film perfectly. Up to the head sculpt now. As I mentioned before, this is very similar, if not identical, to the uncloaked version. And you've got these soft plastic, they've got a rubber feel to them, but I think they're just soft plastic dreads here. And the outer dreads themselves are coated in this really dark blood red paint, but underneath they've not actually it's not soaked through, and it's really well done actually, because it gives it that sort of layered look and that natural quality, like he's just had a bucket of blood poured over him. And if you actually lift these up, you've even got the spines on the shoulders if the light's catching that, and they've got that blood red paint application as well. There's spines that come out of the shoulder area and the back, and didn't need to really include those Neca because it's covered by these rather nice dreads, but they have done great paint applications. And up to this head sculpt now, there are three interchangeable mandible sections for this particular head. As with the previous iteration of this figure, the helmet section, the skull helmet section, clips off. I think it's held on by friction. Yeah, it is. There's sort of two lumps in the side there, if the light's catching that, which sort of attach either side of the head there, and it's held in place by friction. It's pretty secure. It's not gonna fall off if the figure falls over, or if you decide to shake it violently for some strange reason. So it's nice and secure, and once again, really nicely sculpted. You do lose, I have seen photos of the original of this, the uncamouflaged version, and you do lose some of that tone, some of that texture, and some of that detail, simply because this has just been drenched in blood paint. But it is screen accurate, and it does work. So what you're supposed to do with these mandible sections, and herein lies my big issue with this figure. I'm just going to take that helmet section off. Now the mandible section, if we get this close into camera here, as you can see the detail, really nice. Even without that level of paint application of the original, I still think it works really well with just this this coating of blood paint. But if you notice, there's actually a seam that runs just underneath the cheek there, around the mandible area, and down there on that side and underneath, without knocking the camera over. Now, what you are supposed to do, and I tried doing this for about 15 minutes prior to shooting this video, is if you wiggle this section here, the mandibles are supposed to come out. You can maybe see that there's some give in there, but this will not come out. This mandible section absolutely refuses to come out. Now, I am by no means the world's strongest man, but I am by no means a 9 stone weakling. I can exert quite a bit of pressure when I feel like it, and I have tried a lot to get this thing out, and it is not having it. It does not want to come out. And I'm loath to try and use a hairdryer on here, simply because if I direct a hairdryer into this face section here, I am risking melting these plastic dreads, because they are very thin and they're very soft, and the heat that you get off a hairdryer here is more than likely going to start to melt these. So dunking it in hot water might be an option. I might have to try that after this review, but straight out of the box, I don't think this is a build-up of paint either. It's not like they sort of painted this separately and then stuck it together and there's a build-up of paint there. I just think it is super tight and it does not want to come out. But yeah, bit points off there, unfortunately, for Neca. That shouldn't be happening. You can't use a tool in there because you'll just end up scratching this wonderful paint application. But the articulation in the head is pretty good. You're always going to be restricted because of these dreadlocks, unfortunately. But on the whole, it's got a certain amount of movement there, lateral movement, not so much up and down. There's a little bit of up and down, but as I say, it's always going to be impeded by these dreadlocks. So yeah, there you have it. That is Neca's take on the ultimate bare-blood feral predator. Let's pop him back on the stand. See if I can get this guy to stand up again, because finding his centre of gravity is not the easiest thing in the world. Splaying his legs is normally a good idea, and get him to lean forward a little bit. And we'll go in for final thoughts on this guy, and just zoom in on him a little bit. And there he goes, he's fallen over. At this point I would normally cut or retake. I'm not going to, because that demonstrates that top heavy aspect of this figure. So yeah, stand probably required. So yeah, there you have it. That's the Predator himself from Prey. Final thoughts and a score. This is not going to be the easiest one in the world. I really like it. It's actually opened my eyes to the cloaked versions of these figures can be good and can display really, really well. However, it's not without its flaws. The first things I would say are those joints in the waist section, in the thighs, in the knees. Why, Neca, did you not use translucent plastic? You've obviously got access to a shed load of translucent plastic to make the figure, so why not make the joints the same? Just seems to defeat the object to me. To have him cloaked and then to be able to see these huge lumps of white plastic inside the body sort of, yeah, as I say, defeats the object. So yeah, points off for that. Plus points. I think the sculpt is absolutely on point. Love the paint work. I think the screen accuracy is there. The proportions are right. I love the accessories. I think they've nailed it on with the screen accuracy, but I think they've dropped the ball here with a few silly issues. Well, as I say, those joints being one of them, and the major issue for me is that is those swap out mandibles. We didn't have a look at them. There's actually there's 3 in total. That's the fully open pair that you're seeing on the figure there, but you also get different stages of opening. And as you can see, I'll try and bring these into shot and get the camera to focus. What you do is you pull down, where you saw me attempting to pull that mandible down, and you've got this T-shaped slot, a T-shaped section here, which simply slots into the T-shaped hole underneath. You have the closed mandible, the semi-open mandible, and then the fully open mandible, which is on the figure there. But yeah, unfortunately, can't get either of these two to fit because I can't get that one out. I suppose it's good in some way, because my preferred display option is with those mandibles fully open, because I think that is him at his most menacing and his most aggressive, which is exactly what's going on here while he's battling with the bear. But yeah, just a shame. It lets it down, and that's points off. And also, I think this S clip, shall I call it, this S hook solution is not ideal. Just a small magnet, a tiny little magnet in there, and a tiny little magnet in the back would have been far, far better and more secure. But yeah, those are the downsides. As I say, the plus sides, there's a lot of them. I think it's a cracking little figure. It's opened my eyes to a new world of cloaked predators. So score out of 10. That's a tough one. It's not going to be a 10. and I don't think it can be a 9. I think, unfortunately, there's a point off for that mandible issue. I will attempt to work that off camera and see if I can't fix the issue. There's that issue with the joints there that we've already discussed. I'm going to give this an 8. Yeah, I'm going to go with an 8. That feels right. It's a shame because what you've got here is a fantastic figure that's just let down, I think, by a few QC issues, a couple of QC issues and a couple of design flaws. So we'll stick with 8. So there you have it. That is the Neca Ultimate Bare Blood Feral Predator. So what are your thoughts on this piece? Do you have it in your collection? Is it something you're thinking of picking up? What are your thoughts on the movie? What are your thoughts on the Predator franchise, Neca as a company? What are your thoughts on anything? Nothing's off menu. Please drop a comment in the comment section below. I'd be fascinated to hear your take on this piece or anything else for that matter. So before we zip over to the showcase, what's coming up on the channel? Well, we have a raft of stuff. I'm not going to go into individual pieces, but we have quarter scale action figures. We have 6 scale action figures. We've got stuff from Hot Toys, from In-Art, from Present Toys, from Susu Toys. We have statues. We have a raft of stuff on the horizon. We've got retro reviews, new reviews, showcases, and of course, as always, we will be having more episodes of Don't Make Me Choose, where I take a couple of comparable action figures, statues or collectibles, stick them in the ring together, let them duke it out to find out who the winner is, and unfortunately the loser has to go. So there'll be more of that coming up on the channel. So yeah, hit that bell notification icon, hit that subscribe button so you're not missing anything. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review from me and from the Feral Predator. Take care of yourselves. Happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.